The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport podcast. My name is Dylan Mangan of the Southern Star and I'm joined today by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy as always. Before we get into things, I'd like to just give our listeners a gentle reminder to please rate, review and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. We're going to start this week by looking ahead to a big double header in Pairc Ui Chaoimh, which takes place this weekend, as both the camogie team and men's football team face tough challenges against Galway and Derry, respectively. Kieran, starting with the camogie team, Cork are sitting pretty at the top of Division 1A league going into round 5. They've won all 4 games so far, and they'll be confident going into Sunday, even though they know they'll be up for a tough game.
Yeah, I think so. Cork look on course to get into that Division 1 final. I was just looking there. They'd need to lose by 19 points to Galway on Sunday, and along with a Tipperary win in Kilkenny to deny Cork getting through to the final. So you could say that Cork have 1 foot in the final. Mathematically, okay, they might not get there, but the odds are that they will. And they've been so impressive so far. And even look back to their win last weekend in Nolan Park, 23 points they put up on Kilkenny. And they won that game by 10 points. And Matthew Toomey, the Cork manager, if you want to keep, we're talking after about how Cork are building such a strong team for the summer coming up. And we've got to remember that this is a Cork team that has no Ashton Thompson at the moment. She's injured. We haven't seen Orla Cronin back in there yet. So there's a couple of big players to come back in for Cork. So it's Pamela Mackey as well, Katrina Mackey or 2 more that Cork are to welcome back in. So for Cork to do what they're doing, have 4 wins in a row in the league, sitting top of the table, and like I said earlier, practically in the league final. It looks good for the summer, for the championship in the summer. But they look to make their mark in the league first. I think Cork want to get some silverware because that's the next step for this Cork team. Over the last couple of years, they've come up short in finals, be it All-Ireland finals or league finals. So I think it'd be so important for this group to actually taste a win on a big day and get to hold some silverware, because that could be the catalyst for bigger and better days to come. The focus now is on Sunday up in Pairc Ui Chaoimh and just a chance to make it 5 wins in a row and just keep that momentum building.
And Galway, of course, beat them in the league final last year, so they'll be looking at Sunday as, first of all, probably a chance to put one over them, and then second of all, to kind of consign any chance of Galway playing them in the final to history and maybe play Tipperary then.
Exactly, yeah, because like I was saying there, the Cork have come up short in finals in the last couple of years, and it's usually Galway or Kilkenny that beat Cork when you get to the business end, when you get to the final, whether it's a league final or All-Ireland final. So I think it'd be very important for the development and growth of this Cork team just to get back into the final first off, but then to win the game. That's almost the next step in their development, because there's some really talented young players coming through. Orla Cahalan is one that springs to mind straight away. She's doing great stuff inside there at the moment. And Matthew Toomey and Fiona Keating both singled her out after the win against Kilkenny last weekend as well. And when you have the likes of Fiona Keating in her new midfield role stepping up, you have the likes of Pairc McCarthy, an all-star. Like, you've young players like that taking on leadership roles inside in that Cork team. So it augurs well for the summer. But they want to take it 1 game at a time. Like I said, their focus now is on Sunday. It's on Galway, and it's on in Pairc Ui Chaoimh. And it's the first leg of that doubleheader. So hopefully there'll be a nice crowd in there to watch both Cork teams. So it's a chance for this Cork camogie team to show maybe Cork GA fans who wouldn't usually go to camogie games, just to show them what they're capable of doing. It's a big stage. It's Pairc Chaoimh, and Cork will want to, like I said, keep building momentum to what we hope will be a busy summer.
Yeah, and the Camogie team are also probably one of Cork's best teams at the moment. Like they're performing well. All the players are performing well, and like you said, they're looking to make it 5 wins from 5 on Sunday. So hopefully people will get out and watch it. And the second game then on Sunday, John Cleary's Cork welcome Derry. Promotions now not possible after last weekend's defeat to Louth. And before we get into this weekend, what are your thoughts on the result against Mickey Hart's team, and also the fact a lot of people didn't get to see anything from the game after RT's cameras didn't make the trip to RD?
For some reason, RT can't broadcast games from RD, which is a shame. It's a shame for Cork fans, but it's a huge shame for Louth fans because Louth on the crest of a wave at the moment. They've now won 4 games in a row. They're still in that promotion chase. They're taking on the Dubs this weekend in a winner-take-all clash. So there's the chance for Louth to jump up another division, and that'll be an incredible success story, the rise they've had over the last couple of years. And whether they do it or not, what a campaign Louth have had. Cork will be disappointed, of course, leaving RD on Sunday. With that defeat, they coughed up the last 5 scores in a row to Louth, and that was the difference. In the end, Louth won 110 to 10 points. Cork will be disappointed. They were hoping to just like I said with the Cork Camogie team, just building momentum towards the summer. Okay, promotion was taken out of the equation with Derry and Dublin both winning, but Cork could still look after themselves and just try and build towards summer, because the All-Ireland or the Munster Championship isn't too far away. That's just the start of April, and that's just around the corner when Cork will travel up to Cusack Park in Ennis to take on Clare in that quarter-final. So we've spoken about it before, like Cork need consistency, and that's consistency of results. And this is a blip. We didn't see it coming. We predicted a Cork win on last week's podcast, and I thought Cork would win, and they were looking good for large parts of that game. Daniel O'Mahony getting sent off didn't help their cause down to 14 men, but indeed you just couldn't quibble that Louth were full value for the win, and Mickey Hart is doing great things there. But for Cork, okay, they didn't win, but have to get back in the horse against a really good Derry team this Sunday. This is another test for Cork. They'll want to finish their campaign on a high, but it's going to be tough because they've been the class outfit in Division 2 this year.
And will it be a good chance? You mentioned there about building momentum and last weekend against Louth being a blip. Will this be a good chance to maybe get back on the horse in that sense? Obviously, like Derry are a very good team, but looking into the summer, teams like Derry are the ones that the Cork will be kind of aiming to beat.
But if you look at last year, what Derry achieved being a Division 2 team, getting all the way to the All-Ireland semi-final, they're just a really good team, and they've kicked on again this year. They proved they're one of the top teams in the country, and I think it could be a tough afternoon for Cork because Derry are that good. But Derry are the type of team that Cork have to aspire to reach that level and to beat them, because that has to be the next step in Cork's development. Winning away to Kildare in the second round of the league was a big result for Cork. They won away on the road to a team that was ranked above them, and that was a good scalp to get. But now they're home to a very good Derry team, so I think it'll be important for us to get that performance, and let's see where that takes this Cork team. But you would like to see Cork finish on a high before we go into that Munster quarter-final against Clare, because if Cork are coming off the back of 2 defeats, all of a sudden the mood music just changes a small bit. All of a sudden then Cork would have lost 4 out of their 7 games and only won 3. So that's how quickly things can turn. We were so optimistic last week before the Louth game, saying that we fancied a Cork win, but if it is back-to-back defeats, it does put a taint on the league. So it'll be interesting to see how this Cork team gets on against a very good Derry side.
Yeah, like we said, that's the second part of the double header. So the Cork play Galway at 12 noon in the Very Camogie Division 1A League, and then in the Allianz Division 2 League, Cork playing Derry at 2 p.m. So those are the times there for our listeners. Just moving on now to rugby, and while much of the talk this week has been about Grand Slams and the Ireland team, West Cork has its own brilliant rugby story to tell, as Skibbereen Rugby Club's women's women's team are through to an All-Ireland semi-final following an incredible 61-5 victory over Westport in the 2023 Energia All-Ireland Women's AIL Junior Cup. Kieran, this is a team that's making history at the moment.
A great result for Skibbereen. What a power pack display, running in 10 tries to beat Westport and to get thrown out to the All-Ireland Women's Junior Cup semi-final. So this is the inaugural year of this competition. So 8 teams were picked from the 4 provinces. So Skibbereen were one of the 2 sides selected to represent Munster in this competition alongside UL Bows seconds. So great honour for Skibbereen first to represent West Cork and Munster in this competition. So a lot of history was made in Skibbereen on Sunday. Skibbereen were the first ever West Cork team to play in this competition. It was the first time that the All-Ireland Women's Junior Cup, a game was held in Skibbereen and in West Cork. So lots of little moments of history for the Skib team, and they didn't let the occasion faze them, which is a great sign. They pulled out what their head coach Sana Govinder said after was their best performance yet, and that's incredible for this team. Like I said, they ran in 10 tries, they put up 61 points, which is a incredible scoring, and just looking through there, they tries from Avril Condell, the captain, Jasmine Kiley, Fiona Love, Kate O'Sullivan got 2 tries, as did Sharon Stout, Molly O'Connell, Sinead O'Donovan and Emma Connolly all got tries as well. So a real team effort here from Skibbereen, and they're now through to the All-Ireland Women's Junior Cup semi-final, and they're away to Tullamore on April 2nd. So that's going to be a tough away trip for Skib. But what a win like this does for them, it generates huge interest locally because the spotlight is on them and they performed. But it's also great for the team itself. Like, you imagine them going to training this week, they'll be bounding into training because they know they have another huge game coming up in a couple of weeks. It's an All-Ireland semi-final. They're that close. They're one game from an All-Ireland final, and the chance to win some more silverware. So huge congrats to the Skibbereen ladies rugby team, but they're not finished yet.
Yeah, the captain, Avril Condell, was very confident speaking at the recent West Cork Sports Star Awards. Obviously, the Skibbereen team were awarded Team of the Year at the awards. And she also said we can expect to see some of these women wearing Ireland jerseys at some point in the future. So it's all positive going forward. And we move on now to the West Cork Rally, which culminated last weekend with Monaghan's Josh Moffat winning. It's the second round of the 2023 Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. And Kieran, it's always a big turnout when the West Cork Rally comes to town.
That's huge. It's a huge event for Clonakilty and its surrounds. It's a huge event for West Cork as well, because the West Cork Rally is one of those iconic rallies in the Irish motorsport calendar. And last week's action did not disappoint. Like we said there, Monaghan's Josh Moffat, he took the big prize, but there's a lot of local winners too, and I think that's so important. Motorsport is so strong here in West Cork. There's a great motorsport family. There's a great interest in motorsport locally, and I always think back to when COVID hit back in 2020, Dylan. We ran a Best in the West competition. It was to decide who was West Cork's greatest sports person of the last 50 years, and we opened it up to the public. It was voting. It was a voting on social media, and it was Keith Cronin. Keith Cronin actually came out on top, and it was a huge numbers came out to vote him, and that always sticks in my mind. I just think it highlights just how strong motorsport is here in West Cork. So I'll quickly look at some of the local winners of the various classes. So Dara O'Donovan from Ring in a Honda Civic, he won the junior category, which is a pretty big win for him. The man was Jason McSweeney, was the top local driver. They finished 7th overall, while Clonakilty's Kieran McCarthy and his Rosscarbery co-driver Eric Callanan, they finished in 10th place. Going down to some more of the classes. In class 11F, Rena Screena, husband and wife James and Aoife Ronan, they took the top billing there. There was a local win 2 in class 22 when the Rossmore Clonakilty crew of Seamus O'Donovan and Daniel O'Donovan in a Honda Civic, and they took the victory there, just ahead of Skibbereen's Pat Callanan and Lep's Amy Galway, while Clonakilty's Aidan Hennessy and Rosscarbery's Aidan O'Donoghue finished 3rd. So that was a 1-2-3 for West Cork drivers in class 22. And looking at the class 20, Conor McCarthy from Dunmanway and his Gypsy co-driver Gavin Sheehan came out on top there. And in Class 13, Barry Road co-driver Dylan Doonan partnered Middleton's Keane Walsh to victory. So that's just some of the local winners from the West Cork Rally. And our listeners, just check out this Thursday Southern Star. We'll have a 2-page special looking back on all the action from the West Cork Rally last weekend, and we're chatting to some of the local drivers who are in action. So it's well worth checking out.
Absolutely. And we're going to take a quick break now, but we'll be back in a moment and we'll be hearing from Christina Desmond.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Last time Christina Desmond was on the Star Sport podcast was following her brilliant silver medal as part of Team Ireland's success at the European Championships last year. This time she's back with a gold medal, having won at the 74th International Strandja boxing tournament. Christina was in good form when we caught up a few weeks ago, Kieran, and it's kind of testament. We always say that we have too much to fit into the podcast, or we could do 2 podcasts a week with the amount of West Cork sport. This is a testament to that, because I spoke to Christina a couple of weeks ago at this stage, and we started chatting about how this wasn't just any old gold medal. The Strandja amateur boxing tournament in boxing circles is a very prestigious tournament. It's kind of like another world. So for her to get a gold medal is really impressive, and she was in great form when I spoke to her a few weeks ago. So Christina, another tournament and another medal, this time a gold at the 74th Strandja Memorial Tournament. Before we get into that, I just wonder if you could maybe explain for listeners how highly regarded the tournament is, because I know like European Championships get a lot of publicity, but this may be not the exact same amount of publicity. So is it something that in the boxing world is highly regarded?
So Strandja tournament is one of the biggest tournaments in the country or in the world. There's nations entering 2 or 3 boxers in it, and they use it as a qualifying process for their own country to see who's going to go to World or European Championships. Everyone is at their peak really going to this tournament, because this is where we all see who's who and what's what before Europeans and Worlds. So it's a huge tournament. I've been there. This will be probably my 5th time going to it, and this is my first time that I ever medalled at it. It's a huge competition, and I don't really like it because it's so competitive. It's one that we all kind of dread, because everyone's out there trying to suss everyone out, and that's the feeler tournament really. But everyone's top of their game, and everyone's trying to be the best. And there was nations there that you wouldn't get to fight only at World Championships: Australia, Brazil, India. It was massive. It was bigger than the Europeans really. So it was. I don't know, was there close on 45 or 50 nations, which is massive. And it's there's Olympic champions, world champions, European champions, all thrown in at the one weight, and everyone is as good as the next person. Everyone has their number ones there. So it's a fairly big tournament, and every boxer in the world knows about it.
And you mentioned there the high standard. Is it the kind of place that obviously you won a gold there? Does that feel like something like you lay down a marker almost for the rest of the year, kind of as you're one to watch out now for other boxers in your weight?
Yeah, absolutely. Normally Strandja is always the start of the year, so it's January, February, and to be fair, it was so close to our nationals, and we found out so late we were going. I was just going to go out and try and get as many rounds in as possible, and so be it if I lost. There's it's like a sparring camp after it, so you still are going to get a good week out there. So I kind of had no sights really. I just wanted to get out and get a few rounds in and practice rounds and all. And the tournament went very well for me, obviously. But that's I'm I can go on about my business now for the rest of the year with a little less pressure, and I enjoyed that tournament, so hopefully it's going to continue for the rest of the year.
You said there about trying to get in as many rounds as you can. You got like a bye into the semi-final, whereas your opponents from Poland in the final would have played or fought one extra match. Do you think that is an advantage or a disadvantage, or do you think that there's kind of advantages and disadvantages to both?
There is advantages and disadvantages to both, to be fair. I've never got a bye in my life. I never have that luck. I always get the toughest side of the draw, and the draw that, that would be out first. But I was happy enough to take the bye. And then she fought once, and then my semi-final opponent hadn't fought either. I wouldn't have liked if they had got one fight over me, because I know you'd say, oh, they would be tired after the first fight, but actually the first fight is always the hardest one, because you're getting into tournament and all that, and I rather have one fight over me before I get anywhere. Like it's good to get it in and get out and get the first one done. Every boxer says that. So I was happy enough that she didn't get that opportunity, because the first round would have been very slow for me, and if she had that advantage, it could have changed the fight. So my Indian opponent in the semi-final hadn't got that opportunity. So it was good in a way, the way it worked out. But sometimes I just rather get in and be the first in and go for it. So just not this time. But look, it worked out, and you can only fight who's put in front of you. So.
And just in terms of the final then itself, obviously 1-5-0 on points. Was it a fight that felt as kind of simple as it looked from the sidelines? Like, how did it feel for yourself in the ring?
So I had boxed on the Saturday in the semi against the Indian girl, and she was just she wanted to wrestle. She wanted a messy fight, and it just made me look very bad. And yes, I won, and I clearly, when I was boxing well in there, I was clearly scoring. But the girl in the Polish fight, then when I was fighting Poland, she was very strong, stand-up kind of boxer, and I knew I'd have to be on top of my game to beat her. I knew if I went after her that she was going to pick me off with shots. She wanted me to do that. So it was very difficult, but it was a learning experience for me. I trusted the coaches. They told me to stand back, have patience, wait for it, and the time will come, you'll know when to throw. And I just felt lazy. Like, I was like, came out after the first round, and I was like, I feel so impatient. I need to work more. And they're like, no, you're cleanly landing shots. You need to keep your patience. You need to bide your time. Like, you don't need to be involved with her. So I did that, and I came out after the second round, and I actually said, I can remember clearly saying, I think I kind of like this. And they were all just laughing at me, because I hate being in there. Like, I love after it, but I hate in there. But the 3 minutes, I wasn't tired. I felt fresh for the whole lot. I felt I was clearly landing shots. She's a very good girl. She's experienced, and she was strong. We came out of a hold at one stage, and she hit me with a body shot and properly took the win for me. And it probably didn't count because it was after the referee had called stop, but it did take the win for me, so I just took my breath and went on about it. But like, that just happens in boxing anyway. It's normal. But she was a strong girl, and I knew in there that she didn't feel comfortable with me, so maybe that relaxed me. But the 3 rounds seemed easy enough, to be fair. Not boxing wise, but mentally I was really happy in there. So hopefully that continues.
And as you kind of progress now, does it help you, having had 2 kind of quite different fights, like you mentioned there, one against an opponent who kind of wanted a bit of a dirty fight, and then somebody else who stands off a bit more? Does it help you for the rest of the year to get that kind of experience against such high standard, as you said?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great confidence booster for me to know that I can get in there and get in with the best in the world and move around with them, whether it be going their fight or doing my own thing. And for the final was a huge experience for me to say, look, just trust it and go with it, because I'd want to try and bury it in the first or second round, and not, and try and get that, be the pressure fighter and be the one that's scoring all the time. But if I did that, I do feel she might have beaten, it could have gone another way. So for me to have the patience and to trust that bit of knowledge from the coaches was good for me, and it was going to be a learning experience either way, and that's what that tournament was for. So I might, that's where you practice, that's where you put out all of this. Maybe in the Worlds or Europeans you mightn't be as of trusting, or because there's so much at stake. So I felt I had nothing at stake, I had no pressure, and I was after making it to the final. So that was enough for me, and to go in then and put on the performance that I did put on, I'm very happy with it.
And where does it leave you now for the rest of the year, just with your plans going forward? Like, obviously you're part of such a successful team effort at the moment. Is it something that you're hoping to continue on for the rest of the year and into next year as well, obviously?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm boxing at 70 kilo. That's what the fight was at. The Olympic qualifier spot is at 66 kilo. So I will probably have to have assessments with my teammates who are around 66 kilo, and then the Irish coaches will be picking. There's only one allowed to go to European qualifiers in June, so the Irish team will be picking who they think deserves the spot. So that's happening in the next couple of weeks, and if I don't get it picked, I will be staying at 70 kilo and going to other tournaments. I have no idea what the plan is as of yet. It's just all up to the Olympic qualifiers. If I get picked for the Olympic qualifiers, obviously that's going to be my main focus. So it's totally up to the Irish coaches at the moment. And look, it's a huge experienced team, the women's team. It's just unlucky that there's such little weights allowed go, and that there's so many boxers in Ireland that are capable of winning Olympic gold or silver or bronze medals at the same weights. So look, my fate is in the Irish coach's hands.
And if you were to get picked, what kind of advantage would you kind of feel you'd have dropping down from a slightly higher weight?
I'd be strong. I'm feeling very strong at the moment at 70 kilo, and I'm making weight easy. So if I put myself under that pressure and make it right, I do feel I'll have a huge advantage with strength and just general strength, not just punching strength, but stance and proper. I'd be a proper 66 kilo boxer.
I'll leave it there for now. Hopefully, there's good news to come in the coming weeks for you, Christina. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Kieran Brian Hayes was one of two West Cork winners at Cheltenham last week, getting his first win in the festival, proving once again the West Cork sports people are everywhere that you look.
West Cork sport dominates the headlines, Dylan, always. And what a memorable day for Brian Hayes, the Rosscarbery jockey, to ride his first Cheltenham Festival winner on St. Patrick's Day. An incredible moment for him. So he won on Impervious in the Paddy Power Mayor's Chase on the final day of the festival. So we're going to hear from Brian quite soon. I caught up with him to talk about the significance of his first Cheltenham win, the doors that it will hopefully open for him, but also his own story in horse racing. He was like I said earlier, he's a Rosscarbery man. Played football with Carbery Rangers from under 12 up to junior level, but his sporting interest took him off in a different way. He swapped the O'Neill's ball for the saddle, and he hasn't regretted it, as we can see from last Friday's heroics. But a shout out here too to another local jockey, Dunmanway's Gavin Sheehan, who rode his third Cheltenham Festival winner last week on You Wear It Well. They won the inaugural Jack the Bromhead Mayor's Novice Hurl on Thursday. So that's another big win for Gavin Sheehan, who, like I said, has now had 3 winners at the festival over the years. So he's becoming a bit of a lucky omen for West Cork punters at the Cheltenham Festival. But now here's Brian Hayes talking about the greatest moment in his horse racing career to date. We're days after your first Cheltenham Festival winner, Brian. Have your feet touched the ground yet?
Yeah, back to normality today. Back to Clonmel Racecourse there today for just regular racing of a Tuesday. No, back to reality now. But no, it a dream come true to get a Cheltenham winner there on Friday. So it was magic.
Talk me through the race, so because I was reading a piece that you had said beforehand, like where you were almost predicting that Impervious was obviously one of the favourite for the race, but you thought there was a good run in her, and that's how it turned out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were thinking we had a great chance. Willie Mullins had a horse in the race called Alligator Devassi, who won her last 2 races in graded company very easily, and Willie and the team thought she was really top notch. So we were obviously very worried about her, and we just didn't know how good she was compared to our one. And thankfully, Impervious was better than her on the day anyway.
Talk me through the last fence, coming over the last fence. It was neck and neck, and you just kind of slipped into second for a moment, and then you pushed again. Like when you're in a race like that, how fast can you think and react to what's going on?
Yeah, I thought it's a little bit slower. I find actually with age, actually riding in races, I've been riding for a long time. Things actually slow down now, whereas when you were younger, maybe things happen quick. Whereas now things happen a little bit slower. And when I landed over the last, to be honest with you, when I was headed, I thought I was beat. But the mare had other ideas, and she got going again, and she won well at the line. So it was a bit it was exciting to watch anyway.
You called it there earlier a dream come true, but what was it like to ride your first Cheltenham winner? Because it's like it's the Olympics of horse racing. It's where everyone wants to get a winner. And now you have one on your CV. Like, it must have been a really special moment, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. It was great to get one on the CV. It was great because my 2 sisters were over there as well, and a good friend of mine from West Cork, Michael Minnis, was there as well. And I was saying to him after, when you come into the parade ring, like it's brilliant way to do it in Cheltenham. You walk up through the crowd and they put the music on, and you come into the parade ring after. And when I weighed back in, then I gave my saddle to the person weighing it back in, and I was actually just hanging out there on where you kind of hang out for the winning photos or whatever. And I was saying to Minnis after, like, that we just hung out there for about 20 minutes after the race, and he was saying, yeah, it's the same as winning an All-Ireland final. You'd stay on the pitch after, wouldn't you? And you just stay there and take it all in.
Oh, it's incredible. Like, and there was like great celebrations over in Cheltenham, obviously great celebrations back here in West Cork too. But like you said there, you were able to share that moment with your sisters, with Mike Minnis from Rosscarbery. Does that make it all the more special that you could share that high in your career with your friends and family?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have friends and family there, and it makes it a little bit more special. And just, it's great to get a few pictures with them and everything, and you'd have good memories then as well, and it makes everything a lot better. Yeah.
Talk to me about your relationship with Impervious. That's your 5th winner together. Kind of, what's that connection like? Kind of, you just work so well together.
Yeah, obviously fucking well. Yeah, it's you know what, I don't do much for her myself at home or Conor Murphy does everything with her. I just get on her on race day really, and we've got on well together, obviously, and she just tries so hard for you, and she makes my job very, very simple. It's like driving a good car. She just goes where you want her to go, and she keeps things simple for me.
Obviously, winning in Cheltenham means a lot to you, but in terms of your career, does this open doors? Does this put you in the spotlight? What's the significance of this for you, Brian, in terms of what's coming in the next couple of weeks and months?
Yeah, I suppose it means maybe another step up the rostrum of now you've been the Cheltenham winner, you can do that. So it might just make more opportunities a little bit easier when you go up and get a Cheltenham winner as well. It'll definitely do no harm anyway.
You've come a long way since Grey Pip. I was informed about Grey Pip, your horse here at home in Rosscarbery. Like that, but that's back at the start when you were starting out. Like, Grey Pip was obviously a pony that meant an awful lot to you.
Yeah, who told you about that? No, that was Minnis now, or Shane Goggin or someone.
That's inside information I'm after picking up.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Obviously, yeah, it's great when you need people to help you. Obviously, along the way. Thomas O'Leary was obviously the man who got me started off. He used to train there in Ballinascarthy, trained loads of winners. won Tiestes Chase with pre-sleep, and grade ones with New Mill, and big race with Scarty Lad, and he got me going, and then I went on to Shark Hanlons, and then starting to kind of ride a bit more now for Willie Mullins and Colin Murphy, obviously, and it's just people help you along the way, and you get plenty knocks too, and things don't always go as smooth as you'd like, but I suppose just you'd like to think that if you just kept going, you would get your opportunities.
Your story, Brian, is one that's kind of an inspiration for so many kids or young people right across West Cork and beyond, because you came from let's say a non-horse racing family as such, but you pursued your career because in this field because you wanted that. Like, you played with Rosscarbery Rangers from under 12 up to junior level, but you decided to kind of to not stick with the norm. Like, you pursued what you wanted to do. Took a lot of hard work, but you've reached it.
Yeah, it was massive, and I loved playing the football for Ross. Played all the way up to junior, as you say, and but suppose I say all of my friends still played football, and a lot of them won senior county with Ross. But I went off doing the horses, but everyone has their own thing, and that was mine. So it was it's nice. It's even nice now that we're talking about that. Like, it means that I have done something. Like, I got a Cheltenham winner, so it's great. It just means I've done something. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you now, right? Ross won the first county back in 2016. If you could have been a part of that team, Brian, or you could hold on to your Cheltenham win last Friday, which would you pick?
I'm going to be selfish there and hold on to my Cheltenham win, I think. Yeah.
That's great and stuff. But even the fact, like, from Rosscarbery, and with Gavin Sheehan too from Dunmanway, like with two West Cork jockeys winning in Cheltenham last week, it's just great for the sport locally as well.
Yeah, exactly. It might get more people interested in it. There's not many trainers down in West Cork. Robert Tyner, there's not a James DeLay in Bandon, but it's not a big up here. We'll say in Carlow, where I'm based, there's trainers dotted around everywhere. Further up in Mead, Tipperary, there's trainers everywhere, but it's not as prevalent down at home in West Cork.
You mentioned Thomas Leary there, like, and he gave you your start back you were in transition year in school as it kind of got on to your leaving cert. Like, how important was getting that chance for that door to open slightly for you, because you did take your chance, but just to get that opportunity in the first place?
Yeah, very important, because you need someone to take an interest in you and just kind of help you along the way, and kind of tell you, if you could do it if you put your mind to it, and it's very important. You just need someone to take an interest, and Thomas was very good to me, and Padraig Butler. He was the man I kind of grew up with Paddy with Thomas O'Leary, kind of going in there every weekend and any days we have off school, and he was good to myself and Padraig Butler, who's training now as well in West Cork. He's got his license there now as well, so he went training and I went riding, so we're both still involved with horses, so it's brilliant.
Have we any plans for a big homecoming in Rosscarbery soon?
No, I don't think there's anything. I don't really think so, but I think Colin Murphy's having a big party Saturday night down in Wexford for the mayor Impervious, so I'll go down to that anyway. So
what's your plan? So, like, you're obviously back in action now, but the next couple of days, weeks, months, what's coming up for you?
This is actually very busy. After Cheltenham, so Cheltenham is the main event, but then Fairy House rolls around festival, Aintree Festival, so the Grand National, obviously the big race there, and then Punchestown Festival. So there's three big festivals will come fairly close together now in the next by the end of April. So that's there'll be a lot of racing going on there, and important race.
And how soon do you know when you've rides in those festivals coming up? Like, is it weeks beforehand? Is it days beforehand? Like, what's the logistics and timeline?
Say that again, Kieran.
What's the logistics and timeline when it comes to whether you have rides in those festivals coming up?
You'd know on entries. You'll have a good idea on entries. You'll see the entries, and then you'll have a look at what's running and what might run, and then you have your agent who will be in contact with all the trainers, and he'll kind of tell you what's going on and what you might be riding or what you won't be riding, and you kind of make your plans from there. Then
you'll be a man in demand after your success on on St. Patrick's Day in Cheltenham. Congratulations again, Brian, and hopefully we'll see you in Rosscarbery soon.
Lovely. Thanks a million, Kieran.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. And Kieran, now is the time of the week where we take a look at what's coming up in this Thursday's Southern Star Sport.
So we've touched on some of the pieces earlier. We've a 2-page special on the West Cork Rally, Dylan, where we chat to the locals who made their mark on the roads around Clonakilty. Obviously, the Cork inter-county teams, it's a very busy time with the leagues coming to an end. So we've report from Cork Loud in the football, looking ahead to Cork Derry. The Cork hurlers, we have to mention too, have a league semi-final coming up this weekend. The Cork ladies footballers had a super win against Kerry on St. Patrick's Day, and they're taking on Meath this weekend. And obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the Cork Camogie team are home to Galway in Pairc Ui Chaoimh. So we've all the inter-county action covered. But just as important, we have a lot of local action as well. In the County Hurling League Division 3, there was a local derby between Newcestown and Bandon, and we have a full report and reaction from that, with the bragging rights going to Newcestown. We also have a full report and reaction from the challenge game that was on in Dunmanway on Monday night between a development Carbery team and the Cork under-23 football development team as well. So it was a chance for Carbery boss Tim Buckley to give 12 new Carbery players a chance to put on the Carbery jersey, and they put it up to a strong Cork under-23 development team that featured a lot of local players as well. We also have an interview with Niall Toomey, former Bantry Blue star, now of Ballinascarty, who was in charge of that Cork team, where he explains where this Cork team came about, its importance, and how it operates. So that's well worth checking out. Also, we have a match report reaction from the Hemis All-Ireland Colleges Senior B hurling final last weekend. Unfortunately, they lost to an Offaly school, Cheltenham of Cormac, who were inspired by Adam Screeney, I think his name was. I think he got 212 or 213 in the end. So disappointment for Hamilton High School in Bandon. But what an incredible year they've had, winning a Munster title and going all the way to an All-Ireland final. So well done to them, and heads up high after what they have achieved. Also in local soccer, we know that the last 4 teams in the Beamish Cup, Dunmanway Town beat Trina Rangers in an epic quarter-final last weekend. Dylan, forget about those minutes of madness over in Old Trafford on Sunday. It all happened at Cannon Crowley Park. It was 1-1 going into injury time at the end of the second half. Mark Buckley popped up with a 92nd minute goal for Dunmanway. It looked like the winner, but straight from the kickoff, Trina equalised, sent the game to extra time. It eventually went to penalties, for Stephen Daly, the Dunmanway goalkeeper, was the hero of the day. So we've that and loads more. It's a packed Star Sports section this week, and it's also a quick chance to just let our listeners know that coming up in next week's Southern Star, we have an 8-page special on O'Donovan Ross's footballers that won the 1993 All-Ireland Club Senior Football Final. That was the greatest moment ever for a West Cork club football team. They were crowned the best team in Ireland. They beat Éire Óg of Carlow after a replay. And they're still the only West Cork team to ever reach that high. So we're chatting to some of those heroes, and we've lots of different angles and stories in an 8-page special next week. So while this week's Southern Star is top class, put next week's one in your diary as well.
Yeah, it's one to look forward to. All of that and more will be available in shops across West Cork from this Thursday and next Thursday, and every Thursday after that as well. As always, if you're further afield or you can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star e-paper and get the Southern Star on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just head to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed the podcast today, please remember to rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you again next week.